Okay, let's get started. I will get everything rolling now. Hi everyone, and thanks for joining the latest edition of Slash Data's webinar series. My name is Moskula and I will be your MC. Today's webinar is titled Contribution to Open Source Software, Who and Why? The presentation will be run by our very own data team manager and author, Michael Caras, who is and has been a key analyst at Slash Data, especially in uncovering hidden patterns and meaningful insights from our data. Before we get started, we have a great group today in the audience. Some of you seem to know us very well, others less so. So let me give you a quick idea of who we are and what we do. Slash Data is a developer analyst firm. So in other words, we are hyper-focused on helping top tech companies understand developers. Within our global developer surveys, we help to uncover who developers are, understanding profiles, where they are, what they're involved in, population metrics, and even segmentation. We explore what they buy, so technology usage, adoption, and what affects purchase decisions. And lastly, where they are going. So developer perception about emerging technologies and which areas they're going to next. Here's a quick snapshot of the orgs we work with, but we'll move on quickly to the next slide. Getting into the research. Within our global surveys, we capture about 10 audiences, everyone from mobile, desktop to IoT, ML, and AR/VR. Important to note here is these are not distinct people. Developers tend to work in multiple areas, so there is indeed much overlap here. We run 2 global surveys per year, pulling the responses of more than 30,000 developers annually. We reach about 160 countries, so it's a very broad reach and truly representative sample of the community. We do this not by tapping into one single community out there, but we use anywhere from 70 to 100 different channels, including everything from developer and language groups to Slack channels to paid channels and vendor communities to get those developers to our surveys. So far, we've run 18 surveys and soon we'll be celebrating 10 years of running these global surveys. And we do all of that to help you make data-backed strategic marketing and product-related decisions. Yes, on the next slide, a quick snapshot of the global spread of those developers regionally as well, showing you once again how representative and exhaustive the sample is that we are pulling from. On that note, I will pass it on to Michael in about 30 seconds to get started. Please note, please feel free to type any questions you have in the Q&A you can find at the bottom of your screen on the bottom right-hand side. We will be taking questions throughout the session, and I will be your MC to call those out and jump in there and get those asked. Well, that's it for now. Thank you very much, and on to you, Michael.
Thank you, Moskula, and hello, everybody. In today's webinar, we're going to walk through the contributors to open source software. So we'll explore what proportion of the developer population contribute to open source, and what are the main differences between the developers who contribute and those who don't. Second, we'll look at the reasons for contributing to open source software. So in other words, why do developers contribute to open source? Third, we'll look at the relevance of the open source support offered by non-profit organizations, and more specifically about the support that they offer in terms of to accelerate innovations in the open source space. And then we'll have a look at the flip side. So what companies or developer program leaders do to contribute to open source. So we look at how and why companies contribute to and support open source communities, and how companies fit open source into their businesses. And finally, we'll have a key conclusions, or in other words, takeaways from today's webinar. And yeah, as Moskula said, we'll have a Q&A session at the end. So diving in, how many developers contribute to open source and who are they? 3 out of 5, or 59% to be more precise, of developers contribute to open source software. This is an impressive 12.2 million developers from our estimates, and yet it means that 2 out of 5 developers do not contribute. This may not seem like a lot, but this is certainly not negligible when we know that everybody, like 95% of developers, use open source one way or another. We've also run an analysis to identify what differentiates open source contributors from non-contributors, as attracting existing and new contributors to open source projects or products is becoming increasingly hard. Therefore, it's absolutely critical to understand what sets the contributors apart. So first, we see that contributors are more likely to be based in South Asia and the Middle East and Africa. 26% of them are in South Asia and the Middle East, as compared to only 16% of non-contributors. More importantly, almost 60% of the contributors are involved in data science, machine learning or AI, or involved in mobile or AR/VR developments, as opposed to 49% of non-contributors. So in other words, like open source contributors are more likely to be involved in multiple development areas than non-contributors, and more specifically in emerging sectors, such as we say, like machine learning, AI, and AR/VR. And that's important because emerging sectors are where innovations are mostly driven by open source tools. The contributors tend to be younger than non-contributors as well. 65% of them, of contributors, are less than 34 years old, as compared to 59% of non-contributors. And also, interestingly, contributors are more likely to be self-taught than non-contributors. And it's not necessarily surprising, as open source is a great way to learn, as we will discuss in the next slide. So it's good news that developers who contribute are younger and more likely to work in emerging sectors. This means that the future of open source contribution is bright, as we're only going to get more developers involved. It's all well and good to understand who your contributors are, but understanding the why they contribute is even more important. As a company or someone who is looking to attract contributors to an open source project, it's critical to understand what developers are looking to get out of it, because obviously they do want something in return. And this is what we're looking at on this chart. So the first thing to note is that developers contribute for more than one reason, not just one. As you can see, like the sum of the percentages is greater than 100%. And in fact, respondents on a survey selected on average almost 3 reasons for contributing to open source projects. So it's not one-dimensional. As for the contribution reasons, to improve coding skills is a top reason for contributing. Almost half of the contributors say so. And it's followed closely by the belief in the benefits of open source with 45%. It's a tie for third place with 38% of contributors who think that it's fun, and the same percentage, 38%, who contribute to solve an issue with an existing open source project, such as fixing a bug or even creating a new feature. At the other end of the spectrum, financial compensation is the least important motivation. Only 6% of developers who contribute are getting paid for their work on open source projects. And that's probably because there are not yet many roles or companies that pay developers to contribute. Therefore, developers contribute to boost their career, but indirectly, as you can see, like 23% of them contribute to build their reputations, and 18% to network as well. And it's worth mentioning that a fifth of contributors reported that it makes them feel like they belong somewhere. So the community aspect is important to a significant portion of the contributors. As I mentioned on the previous slides, developers contribute to open source software for more than one reason. And here we look at the overlap of the reasons for contributing to open source. So as an example on how to read this heat map, if you look at the first column, second row, this reads as 48% of developers who contribute to open source to improve their coding skills also contribute because they believe in open source. And if we move one row below, you have the similar insight. 50% of developers who contribute to open source to improve their coding skills also contributes because it's fun. So there are some interesting insights on this heat map. First, if you look at the I'm paid to contribute column on the right-hand far right-hand side, we see that developers who are paid to contribute are less likely to be contributing for other reasons, and particularly less likely to contribute to improve their coding skills. They are also significantly less likely to contribute because of a belief in the freedom of open source, or even because it's fun. So it makes sense that professional open source developers are less likely to be contributors to improve their skills, as this is a job. However, it's kind of surprising that they are not as likely to think it's fun. So in a way, getting paid to contribute kind of takes the fun factor away. Similarly, like we see that developers who are paid to contribute are less likely to also contribute to create something to solve a problem in the world. Like 35% of them say that versus almost 50% on average across the other reasons. So this means that they are also less idealistic about what open source software contributions can achieve. They're clearly more focused on their career. And we see it as they are as likely to have selected to network or to build my reputation as another reason. However, we see a cluster of reasons for which developers are more likely to contribute for other reasons. As you can see, we have like a lot of green for developers who contribute to build their reputations, to network, because of the sense of belonging as well. So developers who selected one of these reasons are more likely to have selected any other reasons. And in fact, those developers selected an average of 4 reasons for contributing. Interestingly, like developers who contribute to create something or to solve a problem in the world are also more likely to contribute to solve an issue or a bug to an existing project. Or also because they believe in the principle of open source freedom. So again, it appears that those contributors have a more idealistic view of what open source is. And finally, if we look, we see that 64% of developers who contribute because it's fun also contribute to improve their coding skills. So simply put, like contributing to open source is a fun way to learn new skills. So now that we've seen who are contributing to open source and why, we are going to look at the relevance of non-profit organizations to the work open source developers do. So you may be asking yourself, why does this matter? Well, by understanding which foundations or institutes are the most relevant to developers and researching what kind of support they provide to developers, this can give you a great insight into what type of support developers value the most. And this could be also support features as a company that you can offer to attract open source developers to your product or to your projects. So in our survey, we've asked developers specifically how relevant to their work is the support that nonprofit organizations offer to accelerate innovations in open source software. And the question was asked to all developers, just to be clear, not just contributors. So we had contributors and well, everyone, so contributors and non-contributors to open source. And they could select any exclusive answers ranging from irrelevant to very relevant, or they had the option to say, I don't know. Of course, if they don't know the non-profit organization itself, or if they couldn't gauge the degree of relevance. So on this slide, we're looking at the developers who selected any of the answers except I don't know. So in other words, developers who have an opinion on the relevance of the following foundations. About half of developers have an opinion about the relevance of the most popular non-profit organizations. So the 3 most popular being the Mozilla Foundation with 54%, the Linux Foundation, 53%, and the Apache Software Foundation with just over half of the developers who have an opinion. Beyond the top 3, there is a drop. So more developers say they don't know about how relevant those foundations are in terms of providing support to open source software projects. That said, the drop is not sharp at all. Like we see it goes from 45% to 40% for the following 3 foundations. So from free software foundations to the GNOME Foundation. And in fact, even the quote unquote less known or more niche non-profit organizations, over a third of developers have an opinion on the relevance of those for the support they provide to open source software. And it's a lot considering that, as I say, like out of it's all developers, so 2 out of 5 of these developers do not contribute to open source software development. Now we are drilling into the developers who have an opinion on the relevance of the support provided by non-profit organization, but split by contributors to open source and non-contributors. So unsurprisingly, we see that contributors are generally more likely to find listed non-profit organization relevant or very relevant to their work. It's not to say that non-contributors don't find them relevant though. Like for example, for the Apache Software Foundation, 71% of developers who don't contribute find the foundation relevant to their work. Again, like remember, every developer is using open source software, and a lot of third-party solutions are either built on open source or integrate open source frameworks or languages and so on. So it's not surprising that the gap between contributors and non-contributors is not that big. That said, while the differences between contributors and non-contributors is not that big, like for the most popular foundations, it gets significantly bigger for the less known ones. For example, we see that 61% of contributors find the Digital Freedom Foundations relevant or very relevant, as compared to only 44% of non-contributors. So 17 percentage points gap here. As for the 3 most popular foundations, you can see Linux, Mozilla, and Apache software foundations. They all have 77% of contributors who think they are relevant or very relevant in accelerating innovations in open source software. So looking at the degree of relevance of the non-profit organizations, focusing exclusively on developers who contribute to open source software, we see that, as we've just discussed, not only do the majority of open source contributors find the support of most non-profit organizations relevant or very relevant, but a non-negligible percentage of them find the organization support somewhat relevant. So looking at it the other way around, we have a very few contributors who find the non-profit organizations irrelevant. And by the way, the chart is ordered by descending relevance, so the sum of relevant and very relevant. As we've seen in the previous slide, so 70% of open source contributors find the support of the Linux Foundation relevant or very relevant. However, what is really impressive is that 46% of them find it very relevant, so more than relevant. It tends to be on the extreme side. Only the Mozilla Foundation has a similar share of very relevant than Linux in the support they offer, like 46% too. And while the Apache Software Foundation has a similar share of the group relevant and very relevant together, it has a lower share of very relevant, so 42%, as compared to 46%, as I said, for Linux and Mozilla. The degree of relevance of those non-profit organizations seems to be correlated to their popularity. So the Apache or the Linux and Mozilla foundations are the largest and most known organization, and they usually offer a wide range of support to open source projects. Things like infrastructure, travel assistance, mentorship, or they even help with fundraisings or trademarks. And that's also probably why these are more likely to be relevant to the contributors' work. In the second tier of nonprofit organization, we see that the percentage of developers who find them very relevant decreases between 20 and 30%. That's still relatively high, especially that the percentage developers who find this relevant is in the same range as the top tiers, like between 32 and 38%. And in fact, even KDE-EV, which has the highest percentage of irrelevant, with 23% who find KDE completely irrelevant, that is still less than a quarter of contributors who think of this organization as completely irrelevant. That's impressive, considering that KDE-EV represent the KDE community in legal and financial matters. So in a way, like it's in a very niche, it's very niche. The fact is that even non-profit organizations that are more niche and have less scale than the bigger names are still relevant to a very large share of contributors. And the same can be said of the Document Foundation or the GNOME Foundations, for example. Yeah, and I would also like to point out that there are hundreds of non-profit organizations who support open source software, but obviously we cannot include them all in our survey. So here we're looking at the percentage of developers who find the organizations relevant among those who get paid to contribute versus developers who don't get paid to contribute. So as an example, again, this reads 70% of developers who are paid to contribute find Mozilla relevant or very relevant. And there are a couple of interesting takeaways here. So first, contributors who are not paid are as likely to find the most popular foundations relevant or very relevant than developers who are paid to contribute. And in fact, for the Mozilla foundations, like contributors who are not paid are even more likely to find it relevant, 70% versus 60% contributors who are paid. However, for the less popular foundations, like contributors who are paid are more likely to find this relevant or very relevant. And as we touched on earlier, so something like the KDE foundations, for example, which, as I say, offer support in legal and financial in a financial way, is more likely to be relevant and useful to professional contributors. That's why we see a higher percentage of contributors who are paid, 46 versus 30% of those who are not paid. So in conclusions, amateurs value and find relevant the support provided by most foundations or institutes almost as much as professionals, at least for the larger foundations. All right. So here we're looking at the flip side, so on the company side. Before we delve into the data, let me just explain quickly how we collected the open source data company side. So between February and April 2020, we reached out to developer relation practitioners and executives from developer programs. And we polled them, among other questions, on how and why they contribute to and support open source communities, as well as how open source fits into their businesses. In total, we received 96 responses. So it's not a huge sample, but it's large enough to get a representative picture for each question. On this slide, we are looking at how developer program leaders contribute to open source software. And from this chart, it's very clear that as a company, if you want to be in the game, you need to, in the open source game, you need to contribute, or at the bare minimum, build your product upon open source software. As you can see on the right-hand side, only 17% say they don't contribute in any shape or form. For them, open source is the community thing and companies should not get involved. And also in the early days of open source, it may have been possible to get away with just supporting APIs, but that's not the case anymore. We only have 19% of companies who say that they're doing so. So what do companies do to support open source? Well, first and foremost, they contribute by developing their own open source software. As you can see, 43%. 38% say that they contribute to third-party projects as well. And as you can see, like the second, I skipped a bar, the second one, is because some companies are not contributing directly. They, however, build their products upon open source software, as you can see, like 39%, and it's quite common to do so. And beyond the top ways of contributing, we observe a drop. So with 25% of developer program leaders, we say they provide the ability to run commonly used open source frameworks on the platform. For example, in the machine learning space, like most, if not all, third-party machine learning platforms are currently providing the ability to develop and run TensorFlow models using the TensorFlow deep learning framework, which is open source. So obviously, this is like a very specific example, and there are countless of other examples. But that's to illustrate the fact that most third-party technology products have to provide this if they want to stay relevant and keep up with the pace of innovation driven by open source software. Another 25% say that they provide documentation, training, mentorship, and financial support. So while this is not contributing to open source software products directly, these are critical support the community needs. Okay, moving on. As we did for developers, we ask developer program leaders their reasons for contributing to open source software rather than offering only closed source solutions. And by the way, these questions was not shown to developer program leaders who had answered only that their products are built upon open source software. So basically those who are using it but not contributing. And also to respondents who said that they don't contribute at all, of course. So the top 3 reasons that are standing out are one, the quality of the solutions. So driven by the constant community improvement. 44% said that they contribute because it leads to better quality software. Second, like the belief in the benefits of open source, 42%. And in third, attracting developers and educating them, 40%. And these reasons, they align with the ones developer report for contributing to open source. If you remember, like we've seen earlier, that they were doing it for the top reason was, the primary reason was for self-improvement, improving their coding skills. And the second most important reason for contributing was the belief in the benefits of open source. So the expectations of companies and, well, not expectations, but the reasons for contributing are completely aligned between contributors and developers and companies. For companies contributing to open source, it's also a way to get recognition and credibility, 33%. So again, like the same benefits that developer mentioned. Also, the key takeaway that jumps out here is that companies and developer programs are very aware of the benefits of open source. Only 18% of them contribute because for external drivers, such as like customers or users that demand it. And only 4% do it to put pressure on competitors' commercial product. So in other words, like a relatively low percentage of companies do it for external reasons. So yes, here we've also asked developer program leaders, how does open source software fit into their business? So as for the reasons to contribute, we've just covered in the previous slide. Like this question was shown only to respondents who selected one of the contributing reasons. And again, fitting open source in your business is not a nice to have anymore. As you can see, like only 12% do not fit open source into their businesses, as they think that open source contribution is philanthropic in nature. But reality is that if you don't want to be left behind, open source must be mixed or fused into your commercial offerings. And indeed, like mixing open source software with commercial or paid solution is the way most companies are going. As you can see, like open source commercial hybrids is the most common model, like 57%. And also like the traditional open source software plus paid services, such as support, is the second most popular model, 45%. Another popular model is to open source internal frameworks or languages, like React, for example. Yeah, and 37% of developer program leaders say that this is how open source software fits into their businesses, so quite a lot. And also almost a third said that they offer open sample code or reference implementations. So in summary, there are many ways to fit open source into your business. As you can see, like again, like the percentages add up to more than 100%. So the most successful companies have a range of products that leverage most of these models. So if you must only remember a few things from today's session, here are the key takeaways. So first, like we saw that 3 out of 5 developers contribute to open source software development, and they are younger and they are involved in emerging sectors, in multiple emerging sectors. Second, developers, they contribute for many reasons, but improving their skills and their belief in the value of open source software are the most important ones. Third, like non-profit organizations, support to open source software is relevant to a vast majority of developers. And we saw that it almost doesn't matter whether they contribute or not. And then we saw that contributing to open source software and supporting community is now a must for companies. It's not just a nice to have. And then fifth, the quality of the solution and the belief in the benefits of open source are the top reasons for company to contribute to open source software. Yes, and mixing open source software with commercial or paid products is the way most businesses are fitting open source into their business. And yes, so I think it's time for Q&A. Do you have any questions?
Hi, thanks, Michael. We don't have any questions right now from the audience. The one thing that was asked about the slides in the recording, we answered it on the chat. The slides and the recording will be made available. You will get notified by email, but also we do have that link there from our devrelx.com site to please, you can go check that out. All the webinars and the slides and recordings are there as well in our series. I think like if I added something just to ask, and I kind of ask a similar question, your takeaways were really concise, really, I think really hit the point, but was there anything that was surprising? Is there anything that stuck out that you didn't expect, or was everything that we found pretty expected?
Yeah, I think yeah, everything we found is to be expected. We've been tracking, like especially on the company side, we've been tracking that open source data for at least a couple of surveys now. So we knew, right? It's consistent with what we found. I think what's interesting is maybe not so surprising, but very interesting is that actually as I was saying, like like companies who are not leveraging or fitting open source into their businesses, the percentage is actually decreasing. So it's becoming ubiquitous, and not just on the developer side, but on all sides, really.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Anything else? Sorry, I think I see a question. All right, from Tamara Dahl. What impact do you think COVID-19 is having on the open source community? Very timely.
I don't know, like this is pure speculation. Of course, we don't have any data. We are actually gonna cover COVID-19 impact in our next survey. So we'll have a bit more data in terms of how it has impacted. But more like as a guess, I would think that if anything, it's been an opportunity for developers to get more involved. I think like with digital events have become a thing, like so, and we've seen a lot of initiative as well for building dashboards, building trackers, etc., that have been raised, which are open source projects where a lot of people were able to contribute. There were a lot of hackathons as well that were set up. I think like the community, it was an opportunity for the community to come together and probably get more developers involved in open source software.
That's really interesting. So the crisis kind of also brought open source developers together, and sort of common benefits of open source. I'm going to go to a quick question, which is pretty easy. Tao asks, I'm curious if there are regional differences of open source activities.
Yes, so referring to the contributors, right? Like when we said that they are more likely to be based in South Asia and in the Middle East and Africa?
Well, the question is open source activities. So I'm curious if there are regional differences of open source activities. I don't know, Tao, if you'd like to add more context to this.
I think there are. Like, I mean, we've seen it in our profiling of contributors, right? Like, it's like in South, we say that in South Asia.
Sorry, it's open source support activities. Sorry, go ahead. It's the regional differences of open source support activities then.
All right. Yeah, we didn't look into the the regional differences of open source support activities specifically.
Okay, but let's dig into the regional differences of open source that you and the contributors. I think that's something that was actually quite interesting, and some of the people that I talked to might be interested to understand. Can we go back to that slide just to have a look since we brought that up?
Sorry. Yes. So here, yeah, when we looked at the differences between contributors and non-contributors, so we saw that yes, they're more likely to be located in South Asia and the Middle East and Africa. I think, like always with regions, like there are other underlying factors, like there may be cultural differences as well, but here we see that you know, they're also younger. And we know from our data that developers in South Asia and Middle East and Africa, they tend to be younger. And also like they're involved in emerging technologies. So again, like it's a cofactor of the locations. We know that developers in South Asia are more likely to be involved in emerging technologies as well, like machine learning and AI, for example. So yeah, so the cultural, like the differences in geography, in my mind, are also like you know, there are other reasons and the other factors that are underlying these differences.
Yeah, totally. Mike Argan, he added a comment, not really a question, but mentions that their experience tracks with a lot of what was presented here. His org both champions an open source community and builds and sells commercial product on top of their open source version. Sorry, it's a long message, but we have a dedicated staff of 4 engineers who help us shepherd pull requests, issues, and submissions outside of contributors. We have found it very beneficial to be involved in open source with both the products we support and complementary projects. But now it adds a question. Any advice on increasing contribution from outside contributors in open source?
Yes, so basically getting more developers to contribute. I think that's why I was saying it's very important to understand the reasons why developer contributes. I think so. For developers that are not contributing, there may be you know, reasons as to why they don't want to contribute. Like maybe they don't care, but also there may be some pockets of developers that are not really you know, aware of why they should contribute and what can they get out of it. So like I think like as we've seen with this profile and also in the reasons here, developers really want to learn, right? It's a fun way to learn. They tend to be younger, so again, like probably like less experienced developers. Yeah, and they really want to improve their skills. They want to be part of something. So I think it's really trying to tap into this yeah, these communities of developers. And also like maybe like just some people are some developers maybe shy. Contributing can be a bit you know, intimidating in a way, like when you have like all these expert contributors, like some projects are very large with you know, thousands of contributions, and you may seem like you may not perceive what value you can truly add to this kind of projects. So it's also like bringing maybe confidence to these developers and explaining in what way they can contribute, because contributing to open source software is not just contributing to the large code base of the source code of the main project. It can be via documentation. It can be you know, they can be involved in many ways and contribute in more ways than just code.
Mm-hmm. So giving more instruction, empowering those that might not be as confident to contribute. Is education also come like more support in contributing to open source? Is there other things there? Does that make sense?
Yes. And you know, like also maybe like yeah, organizing like events, or like maybe looking what that's what we covered as well on the foundations, like the nonprofit organization side. So looking at what how the you know, we've seen, sorry, let me go to the slide. We've seen that even non-contributors, they find all these foundations very relevant. So they are using open source. They are aware of the benefits of these foundations, and maybe looking into what those foundations are doing to get more contributors as well. So that would be something to look up to, and trying to replicate if you want to attract developers, contributors on specific projects or products.
That's great. Thank you. We have a few more minutes, but if everyone is okay, I don't see any other questions coming through. We can give everyone 10 extra minutes for their day and end it here, if that's all right. I think that would be okay. Is that good for you, Michael?
Yes, sure.
All right. Then thanks again, everyone, for joining. The recording and the slides will be on the site that I sent and answered in a question. That's devrelx.com/resources. Check out the site if you haven't done that. Loads of content for you. And of course, thanks for joining /data once again. Bye.